Hi everyone, I'm Olivia, the Southern Yankee Stitcher. Welcome to my Flosstube. Have no idea what number this is. I'll have to look that up later. But I wanted to go ahead and get this filmed today because I have a lot of haul from a trip I made and a retreat I went to, and I wanted to share that with you in my stitching, because I got to get this stuff put away. I've so much stuff sitting around here that I've accumulated over fall break. I was, working at school and I was on fall break the first 2 weeks of October. The first week I just stayed at home and kind of piddled around here and there doing some things and did a little stitching. And the second week, the first weekend, then I had a retreat at Pandas Crossing, my LNS, and I'm going to share some things with you that I did at the retreat. And then the next week, I went to Virginia and Maryland. So I'll tell you about that when I get to that point. I'm just going to go ahead and start with the retreat. It was a fall retreat, fall themed. It was like a thankful theme, and I forget the exact name of it, to tell you the truth. But Donna always gets together several kits to give to you, and she'll give you the chart, the floss, the fabric, and sometimes also everything you need to finish it. So we did several projects, and I'll share those with you today. The first one that she did was from this Mill Hill book. And it's actually on the back of the book, right up here, this sunflower one. And so we got it. She gives you, here's the floss she gave, and she has them all marked for you, and just gives you what you need. And I started on it, but didn't get it finished. Didn't even think I would. But that's just the start of the sunflower. And there's a lot of other projects in this book, so that was a really nice gift right there. Going to the retreat, just all of those items in there. The way that she shows it finished is she gave you instructions for doing the nun stitch, I think is what it's called. I've never done that before, but it finishes the edge almost like a dense serge. I don't know, but it will then go on this. Got one of these. It's from the dollar store, and it'll go on there. Well, it'll be narrower, but it'll go on there. And then she gave you these teeny tiny little magnets that would just hold it in the four corners. We also got the beads, and she found a medicine container to put the beads in, and she just took acetone to take off the days of the week that were on there. And I think she put an extra little piece on the hinge because she didn't trust the hinge, and then we got all the beads in there that we need for the project. So that was our first project. Then, let's see what's next. Sorry, I'm not real organized. I'm trying to do this today because my son and his wife and baby daughter are going to stay here with us the next couple nights because they're getting all the popcorn ceiling removed in their house. It's going to be a dusty mess. So they're going to come stay here to stay out of it. This is a chart by Loohoo Stitches. It's called Autumn Fling. And we got that chart plus, this is kind of a 4-in-1. Plus you get the 3 months for fall. September, October, in November. At first, I couldn't figure out what that was. I thought it was some kind of moth or something, but it's Indian corn. Anyway, this designer has all 4 seasons, and the way that Donna came up with for us to finish it was she gave us this board and these little tiny, you see these little tiny cup hooks, and the autumn piece will go up here, and then the 3 months will be hanging on cup hooks there. So it'll say autumn, and then you'll have your September, October, November hanging there. The designer sent a trunk show, and when she was showing the other seasons, she had them sitting in here. I think maybe she put the season on the front and the 3 months in there, and I kind of like that idea. So I could use that for both projects. And I messed this up. I did mess it up. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't iron anything. I really didn't expect to do this today. But I got this much stitched at the retreat, which I thought was doing really good. Like, you don't get a lot stitched at retreats. But this little swirl here was supposed to be like a burgundy color. And I was just going strong with that brown and just kept going. Here are all the colors it calls for, plus mulberry. Now she gives you a choice of either getting Aida or linen. I choose the linen, and it's either 32 or 28 count. I think this one is a 28 count. Then we had another project, and this one was probably my favorite. And this is by New York Dreamer. It's called Freshly Baked Apple Pie by Isaiah Gladstone. And it's apple pie. And it has 3 kinds of pie on here. Let's say inside the chart. Empire, Jana Gold, and Mutsu. I've never even heard of this kind of apples. So I think I might change mine to say something like these little signs like Gala and Granny Smith or something that I'm more familiar with. But that's what I got done there. And this is a 32 count. I think you had to for it to fit on the rolling pin. I haven't tried it on my rolling pin. I have a couple antique rolling pins, and then I have one that's not antique, but let's see. These are all the colors. They're all, well, it's got DMC and Weeks dye works. Mocha, monkey grass, baked apple, and emerald are the Weeks, and then the rest are DMC. I'm sorry, if I don't put these back in here, I will never know what floss goes with what. I will be so confused. So please bear with me a minute. Okay, so while I was there, of course, oh, well, she gave us, I don't have all the tools. She gives a little toolkit, and we got one of those magnets, looks like an antenna you extend. I think we got maybe a needle threader, a little pad of paper and a pen. She always gives us that in case we need to take notes. Needle minder. I can't remember what else. But we also got these little jars. And what she showed, and she had a freebie pattern she was going to send to us, was this burlap ribbon. You get this burlap ribbon at the Dollar Tree. And of course you can stitch on that. And she had a little, the flower and some leaves, go around and just to decorate a little jar if you wanted. And there was one more pattern, and I didn't start this. And it's from Autumn Lane, called Give Thanks. It's a cute pattern. It's really cute, but it's not me. Yeah, I'm more prim than this. And I asked my daughters, and they're like, "It just doesn't look like you, Mom." I said, "I know," and because if they liked it, I would stitch it, so we could display it for them. I could display it for them, but I don't think so. Here are the threads. And well, actually, there are a few more DMCs in here. At the end of the video, this is going to be a giveaway. I'm going to give away this chart and all the threads you need. You'll just have to add fabric. She showed it in a hoop finish, and she did give us the hoop, but I'm not sure about mailing that hoop. So I'm not going to include the hoop. I'm really afraid it will get broken on the way. But let me go ahead and tell you about the giveaway now. Just say thankful. Thankful is your word. Let me write that down, so I won't forget. All right, if you just comment, like, and subscribe, and be 18 and all those good things, and use the word thankful, and I'll get this right out to you. You have probably time to stitch it before Thanksgiving. While I was at the shop, I mean, I couldn't leave there without buying something, right? Apparently not. So, I'll just show you. I got some, this is from Dames of the Needle, and it's mini pom-poms, and the color is Barely There. And I thought that was a color that I would probably use. I try and get little, I really like to get fabric, and I like to get notions and things that aren't so easy to find when I'm at a shop. That's the first thing I look for. Before patterns. Patterns, you can always order them online if you want, but I'm not crazy about doing that either if I can buy it from a shop. So of course I had to buy some patterns too. This is, I never saw this before. It's called Sweetheart Pocket by Blackbird Designs. It's in the Tender Heart series number 4. I thought that was super cute. Then this is number 3 in that series. What was that one called? Sweetheart Pocket. And this is called Stitch by Stitch. And I really like that. This is something that I looked at and I thought I could stitch that for a small exchange, and I could stitch it for me too because I like it a lot. Also by Blackbird Designs. I got one called Mildred's Garden House. That was really cute. And then I just love this house. And I love the saying on here. This is by Plum Street Samplers, and it's called This Joyous Season. And It says, repeat the sounding joy. One of our favorite Christmas movies to watch, and a lot of people might not think of it as a Christmas movie, but we do, is The Family Stone. And at the end of the movie, they're just kind of laying there relaxing, and they're like, repeat the sounding joy, and they were humming that song to themselves. It kind of reminded me of that, and I watched that with my daughters, so I just like that. Here's another Plum Street called Autumn Fractor. I love fractors, so of course I had to get that. That was a really cute one. This one, I love this one too. It's another Plum Street, and it's called Float. And it says float like a butterfly. And of course, there's another pattern put out by Heartstring Samplery that says sting like a bee. It shows both of them at the bottom. Donna didn't have sting like a bee in her shop, but she's going to order it for me. But, you know, Muhammad Ali. I love that it's, you know, feminine, it's stitched, and it's a Muhammad Ali quote. That was his tagline, of course. This pattern, I don't know if it was re-released or it's just always been available, but I know I haven't seen it in a long time. That's Midnight Watch by Blackbird Designs. I've always loved this. I always wanted to stitch it. So when I saw it, I grabbed it. Well, then Donna always has, she has old charts that are marked down. These are like $1.50 or $2. No matter what the price says on here, that's the price they are. And I like all these. So I thought I would share them with you. This one's called Luck by Bent Creek. I don't have anything for St. Patrick's Day. I just thought that was cute. This is by the Cricket Collection, and this is called Eagle Sampler. And I really love this one. Love that eagle, that house, the whole thing. I probably would not stitch it on white, so I probably would change the color of the eagle. But yeah, it's gonna be a nice one. Then I'm always looking for Christmas stockings because, you know, I don't know how many grandkids I'm gonna have. And, you know, my stockings, you've heard me say it before, they all kind of look kind of 90s style. And I want them all to look the same. So here was one from Stony Creek. Merry Christmas stocking. It's got carolers on it. I kind of like that. I don't know. I was kind of on the fence, but you know, for like $1 or $2, I thought, might as well. This is A Walk in the Woods, also by the Cricket Collection. Another good one. It's really pretty. Can you all hear that? That's my cat scratching at the door to try and get in this room. And can you see all the stuff in this room right now? He's not getting in here. Oh gosh. Another Cricket Collection. And it's called Crowns in My Pocket. Well, I can't really read that quote right now. Can't see it very well. But it, love the boat on there. And looking at it made me think of Pam. Anything nautical makes me think of Pam now. Just Keep Stitching, because we all know she loves nautical stuff. I do too. Probably because my husband was in the Navy. That's why I love it. This is a marking sampler. I don't know who it's by. because if you, it was published by Just Cross Stitch, but like, that's half the chart. The chart's huge. How big that sampler is, my goodness. How big is it? 220 by 169. That's not too bad. Here is another stocking called Christmas Time in the Village by Lynn and Butterfly. Never heard of that designer. How old is this? Whoa, y'all, this is from 1987. I was still in college. I graduated high school in 86. I'm telling my age now, aren't I? All right, then we have some Prairie Schoolers. Ooh, and it's the original like cardboard, cardstock ones. Woodland Sampling. And this is Prairie Schooler number 17. I don't think I would ever leave a Prairie Schooler on, if I saw it, especially at this price. Village Sampler by Prairie Schooler. I love this. So I will be stitching that hopefully sooner rather than later. Then they had a trunk show, and oh man, I don't know the name of the Atomic Ranch Fabrics. And I got Pompous Reed. Oh, these are just not going to show. Embellish. Not very well, sorry y'all. And Prairie Land. Again, whenever I'm in person in a store, if I see fabric I like, I grab it. They're kind of, I call these kind of neutrals. Okay, so that was it for the retreat and purchases at the retreat. So the retreat was Saturday and Sunday. Monday I just did stuff I had to do before I left town. Tuesday, I get up Tuesday morning. My plan was to leave real early Tuesday morning. This light is kind of harsh. Like 5, 6 a.m. Go to Charlottesville, Virginia, and tour Monticello, which is Thomas Jefferson's home. Well, I woke up, my hand was swelling, and my thumb was killing me. My thumb that's like I call it my arthritic thumb. And I knew when I have a flare up and my hands swell, like I can't do anything. In fact, after I got back from my trip and went back to work the second day, I couldn't go in to work because my hands were so painful. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. But it delayed my trip. I need to talk to the doctor about increasing some medicine and stuff before I left. So I did leave that day, but not till like almost 11 o'clock, between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. So I just went, I cut that part of my trip off, and I went straight to Jamestown because my intention was to go to Monticello, Mount Vernon, and Jamestown, and then head to Maryland to visit 2 of my sisters that live up there. And so I went straight to Jamestown. I got there in the evening. I was able to drive around and see, where I was going to go, find a hotel to stay at, because I had not made any reservations anywhere, because I was just going wherever the road took me. I was by myself, and I liked it. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to have, somebody there with me maybe, but I was really fine by myself because I could do what I want when I wanted, and that was kind of nice. But so the next day, then I just went to a nice restaurant and got some seafood, and because I was there near the water, and It's the first time I can remember. I maybe did it when I was very young, but it's the first time I ever remember going out to eat by myself because I always thought it was sad to see people sitting there eating by themselves. And I wouldn't do it. I would get takeout or something before I would sit in a restaurant and think people were feeling sorry for me, you know. Now, my late husband Chris, he was in the Navy and he would do it a lot because he was one of the probably one of the few sailors I know. I know there's others that never had a drop of alcohol in his life. He just didn't like drinking, and um, so where a lot of the guys want to go live it up when they hit a port, he would find a good restaurant to eat at, and he might go play like nickel slot machines if he could find a casino, but he wasn't going looking for some of the same stuff the other guys were looking for. So he was used to, and when he was in the service, even when he was on shore in port in Norfolk, he'd go out by himself all the time to the movies and stuff, and could do it. But I did. I went out to eat by myself, and it wasn't bad. I had my phone, so you look at your phone. It's like I either take a book or a phone. I had my phone with me. So anyway, the next day I got up early and went to Jamestown. And there's two parts of Jamestown. One is the Jamestown settlement where they've like rebuilt Jamestown and they do reenactments. The other part is like the actual site of Jamestown and they have archaeological digs going on there and stuff. That's the part I wanted to see. And I have my ninth great grandfather was a captain in Jamestown. He was part of the first let's say Continental Congress, and that's not what it's called. Well, anyway, the first meeting of the government, where they were establishing the government. He was one of the representatives. He was part of that. He was there at the same time as John Smith and Pocahontas. So, that's pretty cool that I'm sure they knew each other. And anyway, so I had just found out about that, in the last 10 years, I guess, maybe a little longer than that. And even though I lived much closer when I was in Maryland growing up, and really close when I lived in Virginia Beach when my husband was in the Navy there. We lived there for 7 years. I'd never toured it. And, but knowing that, like, that connection to my ancestor made it more interesting. I got to see his name on some monuments and stuff like that. And it was really cool that the first government meeting, I can't remember what it's called, it was in 1619. And if I had my phone here, I would Google it and look it up real quick to tell you, but it doesn't really matter. The tour Jamestown, and everything was walking. I mean, I was walking. It took me like 4 hours. And I bought, what did I buy there? Well, I was looking for cross stitch. I was like, I want to stitch something. And I haven't opened this yet, but let me open it real quick. They had a Jamestown sampler. It was awful. It had there was nothing historic about it or reproduction about it. It was just like an alphabet with some very poor designed people and the word Jamestown on it. It just wasn't good. But then they had this other one, and this actually, I think this chart who's it put out by? What has DMC logo on here? I don't know, but I've seen this chart I'm about to show you on eBay, and I had it like on my watch list. Because I was thinking about stitching it because, you know, I like to stitch something that has to do with somehow I have a connection to. So the three ships that went into Jamestown first were the Discovery, the Susan Constant, and Godspeed. Now my great grandfather did not come over on those ships. He came over on the Mary and Martha, I believe is what it was called, the name of the ship. I imagine it probably looked very similar. I'm going to try and look it up. If it does look similar, I might use this chart and change the name and put his ship and when he came in his name. And I'm just going to show you from a distance. There's no, that's the chart. There's no picture of what it looks like stitched. And the one that I saw on eBay that I was watching also had no picture with it. So I guess that's just how it comes. And they gave you Ada and floss, and you got to figure out that floss, good grief. But I'll use different fabric, I know. So I just coated that. I took a picture of it. Y'all, if you follow me and you saw my post before I put up my last video, I had so much trouble trying to get it to work. And when I contacted tech support for my editing software, they said, it's because your subscription has expired. And I said, okay. I went in to try and renew my subscription, and it says you already have a subscription that's active until like 2024 sometime. So I haven't dealt with that yet. So whatever I'm recording here, start beginning to end, that's it. That's my video. No title page. I'm not inserting any pictures. It is what it is. Just it is what it is. So the next day, after Jamestown, I went to an antique mall, and it was like I don't know if it said the biggest antique mall in Virginia or the biggest antique mall. I don't know, but it was huge. It was huge. You go in and they greet you and they're like, here's a card with a map of the antique mall. And the back was just like a grid with all these booths. And on the front, you could write down what you saw, what aisle, what booth. And they were like, be sure and write down the aisle and booth because you'll never be able to go back and find it because it's so big. Well, y'all, it took me 4 hours just to walk through that. Towards the end, I was like, I'm not even going in, just glancing in booths because I was so tired. But I wanted to make sure I saw everything. And if you follow me on Instagram, go back and look because I posted a couple videos. One, there's a booth that had probably, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe even 8 antique samplers. And they were all over $100, which one of them was beautiful and was worth, I think it was listed $300 some. But I was not looking to spend that kind of money that day. So I didn't get any. I didn't even look at them seriously because I could have easily talked myself into one. So I just left them alone. And then there was another booth that had a bunch of stamped, or what looked like stamped, more vintage, not antique, samplers. And I posted a video of that. And it was just neat to see them all together like that. And I'm going to show you my haul from there later because it's kind of mixed up with other stuff. Then the next day I went to Mount Vernon. And so I drove a few hours, got to Mount Vernon, and toured it. And it's also walking everywhere. And by this time, my knee was really talking to me. So I toured the house and everything. If you wanted to see the tomb where George and Martha are, you had to go down this big hill. And going down wouldn't have been so bad, but coming back up, I'm like, I don't need to see their tomb. That's the only thing that I could really say that they should have had like a little tram, just like one of those golf cart things that pull, he pulls little carts behind it with seats for people who couldn't, do all that walking. And I mean, I saw most of it. Don't get me wrong, and I did a lot of walking that day, but I did hear some other people talking who were senior citizens. And the man that was talking, he was over 80, and he said, I'm in cardiac rehab, and I couldn't go down that hill and come back up. And there's a lady saying I couldn't do it either. They should have had a tram or something for people, and that's one thing I think Mount Vernon could improve upon. But it was beautiful, and like when you walk up to the front of the house, and what I didn't know is it started out as a 4-room house, and that's where George Washington lived as a child. And then he added on, went up, added a story and a half, I think, and then he added wings on each side to make it the mansion that it is today. And when you go around to the back, there's a huge porch with, he had Windsor rockers, I think, all across it, and they still have Windsor chairs. I don't think they were rockers. They still have Windsor chairs there today. You can sit and just look at the river, look at the Potomac, and it's a really beautiful setting. It really is. If I had a little more time, I would have just sat down and spent, an hour or so just looking. I had intended to do stitching at each place I went. Because you know how when you go, if you're watching something on TV or something that was happening when you were stitching a project, you remember it. And I'll show you the chart in a minute. That my plan again was to have my stitching with me and just find a bench somewhere and have a seat and put a few threads in it to say that I stitched this in Jamestown and I stitched this in Mount Vernon, and I just didn't do that. I didn't do that. I felt too rushed after getting a late start, and I really probably wasn't that rushed because I cut out one of my visits, but it just didn't work out that way. So after I left Mount Vernon, I went on up to Maryland to see one of my sisters, Lisa. She's 5 years older than me, and and then the next day I went to go see my sister Ellen, who's 5 years younger. We're the 3 youngest in the family. And so I spent the night with one of my sisters one night and then the other one the next, and had a real good time while I was up there. Just they come for Thanksgiving a lot of times, but Thanksgiving is so hectic. When I have 25 or 30 people and I'm doing all the cooking, I just can't visit like you can when there's nothing going on. So we were able just to sit and talk for hours, and it was great. We had a little adventure with a time capsule. When we were kids, our church would go on a picnic at the state park, and the state park was about maybe 2 miles from my house at the top of the mountain. And there were overlooks there that were like big stone kind of platforms, stairs going up, and you could look down into the valley. And there was one on each side of the mountain. So you either looked into the Frederick Valley, which is the side that I lived on, or you looked into the Middletown Valley. And at one point it was just farms. You just saw the square fields, and the farms divided up. And you could see some houses. And I know on the Middletown side, and this was in the probably early 80s, they had started building some housing developments where the farms were. And my dad, none of us liked it, but I remember my dad saying they looked like cheese boxes, just lined up like cheese boxes. And he didn't like that the farms were going away, and that's one thing about going back there. It's very sad to see all the farms gone. We did just a little bit of driving around, and neither of my sisters live in our hometown. They live one's about maybe 30 minutes away, the other's maybe an hour away. It's more rural where they live, and a little more farms, so it kind of looks more like what we kind of grew up with. But our town it's just boomed. It's a big bedroom community for commuters to Baltimore or DC. So anyway, got off track there a little bit. When we were kids, we would go to the state park and have our youth group, well, actually the whole church, would go and have a cookout. And they make hot dogs and play all kinds of games and stuff. Well, every year they would have everybody sign a piece of paper and they would bury it in a coffee can at one of the lookouts. And there was a gentleman who was a pastor, and he was like the youth leader for a while for my older siblings. He wasn't for me. Um, they had got somebody different at that point. I think he had gone and had his own church at that time, by the time I was that age. But he passed away maybe 6 months, a year ago, something like that. And some people commented, and one of them brought up they said, well, I remember going, and he always, had the picnic and buried the time capsule, and I'd forgotten all about it. But I remember as a little kid standing up on that overlook, like up on the steps and looking down, watching them dig it up. So I tagged my family in it, and my brother said, "Oh, it's buried beside the third step." And so my younger sister, she has no recollection of any of it, I don't think. She said, "I'm going to dig it up and bring it to South Carolina next Thanksgiving." Well, while we were up there, we were talking about it. So we're like, well, what kind of trouble would you get in for digging on state property? I mean, state park property. They did it for all those years. Will we really get arrested? And so my sister's we're kind of joking about it. She's looking it up, and she's like, you need to have written permission from a state park official, blah, 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 blah. Well, my brother-in-law works for the state. And so we were like, you can write us a letter. Just write a letter. He works out of his house. And we said, you got some state letterhead down there, write us a letter. And he's like, I'm not getting in the middle of that. I don't know if he thought we were going to do it or not, but he got us the shovel, so he was an accessory before the fact, right? So we went and dug it up, and we didn't find a coffee can, but we found a plastic tube, and it was from 1993. It didn't have the church name on it at all, but it had signatures of I don't know how many people, but many of the people that signed that are no longer with us. And it was like reading my childhood. My grandmother wasn't on there, which is weird because she would have always gone to those things. And she was still living at that time, but I don't know. Maybe she just couldn't make it. Maybe she had something else she was doing that day. So none of my blood relatives were there, but all my Sunday school teachers were on there. All the ladies I remember in our community that worked at the civic association, was like our community center, and did all kinds of cooking, and oh gosh, lady we would buy cakes and pies from, and just it was just reading my childhood. It was pretty cool. So we wrote a note, said that we were looking for a 1970s era time capsule, but instead we found this one from 1993, and we were sure it's from the church, put the church name in there, and we buried it again. What was funny is when you open the plastic tube, it had like caps on it, and it was closed up with electrical tape. And then we see the paper folded up in there. Pull it out, it's in a hot dog bun bag, plastic bag, and it was knotted. So we were real careful to unknot it without tearing it. And then we put it all back in the hot dog bag, which is, I guess, all they had the picnic to try and protect it. And tried to put the electrical tape back on there, and used a whole roll of Scotch tape to just roll it, trying to seal it up. And so it's buried for maybe the next person to find. We did put I put some pictures on a memories of, and our community page that a lot of people follow, and there are a lot of comments on there about people remembering that, seeing their relatives, their parents, their great grandparents, and it was just kind of neat. It was a fun kind of silly thing for us old ladies to do, is go dig that up. But we had a good time, and sharing the pictures. It was sharing joy with some people. So there are some of those people who saw it on Facebook that know where it's buried. They probably don't know what step it's beside. Oh, I forgot to tell you, we had to call my brother to double check on that, and we did a video phone call so he could watch us dig it up. And he's like, "It's like I'm really there," because he was in North Carolina. Anyway, um, I have a little more haul to show you. I went to a cross stitch shop. Well, it's really more like a wool shop in my hometown of Frederick, Maryland, and the name of the shop is Primitive Homespuns. I have one wool applique kit that I have not done. I bought it at StitchCon 2022. I have it. I don't know that I'm scared to do it. I'm just not sure about doing it. I want to do it when I have time. Which, when's that going to be? You know, who knows. But they had so much wool in the shop, and they had like some primitive decor. They did have cross stitch, they had punch needle, but the wool was just wow. So, I mean, how do you go to a shop like that and not buy wool? So they had this bucket that had these small pieces of wool in there. I don't know how big these. I don't have a ruler right here to measure this. I do not have a ruler. I think they were $1.50 a piece for each piece of wool. I'm just going to show you what I have. I got these for finishing. I also saw, when I was in the antique mall, there were a couple shops that had some new things, but they were primitives, and they had some pears that were made out of wool, and they had the pennies on them. And I was like, oh, I could do that with some of this wool too. So anyway, I got a bunch of wool. I'll just show you the colors here. Where's the, I guess back there's the best spot. That's black. Has a little bit of pattern on it. It's hard to show up. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you all have worked with wool at all, but my male cat got right into this wool. Like I had the bag in the house, barely had it in the house, and he had a piece of it he was running off with. And I have some other wool I bought. Maybe it's StitchCon for finishing. And it was in a plastic bag in here. He got in here one day, and that's what he got. I guess they can smell it and know that it's wool. I don't know. But he was all over it. All right, so I did get a pattern while I was there too. And this is from the Artsy Housewife called Pretty Bird. And the owner of the store told me, she said, we just got those in. I'd never heard of them. It's a brand new pattern. We just got in yesterday. And I said, well, I thought it looked kind of fractor-like, and that's why I liked it. Because I asked her if she had any, like, Frederick, Maryland patterns or from Frederick, Maryland designers. And she said, I might have some from by Artist Design. And I've seen her stuff before. But I didn't see any there that day. Crinkle, crinkle, I'm sorry. These I know you can get online, but I saw them and they were, I thought, a decent price, so I grabbed some. And it's these candles, the bottom unscrews, and you put a couple batteries in there, and then they come on. I think they stay on for 6 hours, but once you screw it in with the battery, that's the time it's going to turn on every day. And they just have some neat colors. I have some of these that are just like an ivory color. I have a few. Let's do that fast. And I really like them. I like to have them sitting around the house. They go on and off by themselves. and they don't really drain the battery too bad. Okay, so I think that's all I got when I was in Maryland. No, I got a crock. I was looking for, I have some Crocs, and I like earthenware, like Crocs and the old ones, and I like them to have a little bit of blue on them because I love blue. The only ones I found at the antique mall, or we went to a flea market when I was in Maryland, were really expensive. And I wasn't going to drop a few hundred, 300 or more dollars on a Croc that had blue on it. And there was one a lady had that was 100, and it was big, but it had a crack in it. And, I only want it for decor anyway, but she wasn't going to budge on that price. I just couldn't get it. So, I didn't get one. But then we were just trying to waste some time before we went to bingo. My younger sister and I, when I went over to her house, we decided to go to bingo, and it was a fundraiser for the fire department. It was gun bingo. So when you won, you either won. They had all these hunting rifles, and then they had some handguns too. And I'm like, I don't want a gun. I don't like guns. I mean, I have a gun. I have a couple of guns, but and when I didn't learn to shoot one until probably like 10 years ago, maybe. And I didn't like it. I thought I would love it. I did not like it. I didn't like shooting a gun and no one had something in my hand that could kill somebody. I I thought I would feel like, I'm powerful, you're not gonna mess with me or whatever. Mm-mm. Was not the feeling I had. In fact, they were still, my husband and son were still trying to teach me to shoot. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. So I didn't want a gun, but you could opt out for cash, 200 cash, but sadly I didn't win. But while we were wasting time, we went to a Goodwill, and my sister's like, we're going to find a Croc. There's a Croc in this place. And we went through the whole place. I'm like, didn't see one. And she's like, let's get on this aisle. And sure enough, she found one. So it didn't have blue on it. It was just like a cream colored Croc, but it was old. The lid was missing. It was a kind like, it had a metal handle and a metal thing hooked on the handle where you kind of would lock the lid on, kind of like some of the ball jars with glass lids, how you lock them on. It was made like that, but the lid was missing. But I'll just use it probably for, put flowers or something in anyway. So, anyway, I did get my Croc. uh, while I was at the antique store in Virginia, in Williamsburg, I got more of those candles. These are still, the ones I have, these are like there you go, like a creamy white color. The ones I have are kind of tan looking. And they're not, I don't have little short ones like this. And they also had these little candle holders, and they're iron. And I just thought they were so, that was cute, prim. Look it, I like it. I also found this little shelf. And can you see? You can definitely see on the side, but each shelf is made from a yardstick too. You can see Lowe's written on it. So it's not old, but I just thought it was cute, and I could put some little things in there. And then I got this is like earthenware. It's very heavy, and it's inkwell. I don't know that it's old, but I like the look of it. So I got that. I got this old spool. You know what I'm going to do with that. I got to find something to fit that. I got a little bell. I have some bells, that very small collection. Just when I see a bell that I like, I grab it. I have to like it. It's not any bell. I don't like fancy looking bells. I don't like ceramic or china bells. I don't like brass ones. I'm picky. um, so, oh my gosh, I thought this was going to be a short video. It's getting long. Um, on the South Carolina Stitcher Facebook page, a lady posted that she was going to, I don't know if she put the whole story there, but the story was she's moving, and I'm guessing she was downsizing. She had to get rid of her, a lot of her cross stitch stash, and rather than listing it all, rather than listing it all on like a stash unload site, she was having a yard sale. So my friend Dottie, who lives in Spartanburg, and this yard sale is like an hour from me. Okay, it's an hour from Dottie, and so we met up at the yard sale when they opened at 8 o'clock Saturday morning and shopped. She bought a lot more than I did. She'll probably show you in a video, so I won't show you what she got. But I got some cross stitch things that I really like, and some finishing things too. So let me show you those real quick, and then I'm going to show you my whips, because good grief, this is getting long. I'm sorry, y'all. She had these floral pins, which I thought, I don't have to use them for floral pins. I can just put them in. I thought if I make some pin keeps for smalls, like for a small exchange, I can use those. This is quilty material, and this is from Tim Holtz, or is that Jim Holtz? Looks like Tim Holtz, I think. But you can kind of see the different fabrics. That cat is ridiculous. Rick Rack. It's an old Rick Rack. This is hem tape, but look, each piece is black, orange, and tan, or cream. I'm like, Halloween finishing. Rick Rack and some whatever you want to call that trim. Then she had tons, if you were a quilter, she had tons of quilting fabric. I'm not a quilter, so it was kind of overwhelming. I just kind of flipped through some of it to look for tiny patterns, because that's what I like. Even if I were to make a quilt, I like the tiny patterns, like little, I call them calicos, because I don't know fabric. So anyway, I just got some thinking they would be good for finishing some fabric. Let's see. I think that was all the fabric. Then I got some books and some charts. This is Better Homes and Gardens, America's Best Cross Stitch. Now, a lot of her charts and things were dated, so you kind of had to look at them with a creative eye, I would say. Some of them was just, a lot of teddy bears and stuff. I'm not going to stitch those. It's just not my thing. But for somebody, it might be their thing, and they might know how to make it look more up to date, or maybe they don't want it to look up to date. But there were a lot of patterns in this book that were not my style, but this I really liked. And this whole, well, let's see which other ones were. And then these two. These were all these 3 charts were included in this book. and I like those a lot. Couple these this book I got home and I thought, why did I get this book? I think I got it by mistake. There's one chart in here. It must have been what I flipped to. I really like that. And the words on it, which I didn't read that till I was home. At the top it says, children and snowflakes are never the same. And at the sun it says sons, and it lists the names of the 2 sons. But I'll just put the names of my 3 children on there. Because, yeah, they're very different. All 3 of my kids are different. I love that. Got another book. Cross Stitch Techniques, Projects, Patterns, and Motifs. And here's the one. Oh, this one I liked a lot. Really liked it a lot. That church sampler. She had her books marked $2 or $3, but I just kind of made a pile of everything I liked, and she just said, how much, how about this for that? And it was cheap, really cheap. Cheaper than her mark prices. You know, if I see a pretty alphabet, I grab it. That has some pretty alphabets in it. This is for plastic canvas, but you can use that pattern on anything. And I love that peacock at the top. Look at that. Really pretty. I don't know if I told you all this, but I'm expecting another grandbaby, a granddaughter in January. And her name is going to be Renee Rose. Renee after my husband's late sister, and Rose is my youngest daughter's middle name. So they're doing her nursery is in a rose theme. Well, for her older sister, I did Liz Matthews' butterfly cloche, and I just did the cloche, and I changed the colors a little bit to make them a little more girly, and then I put her birth information below the cloche. I think I'm going to do the same thing for baby Renee, but have a rose under a cloche, and then her birth information below it. So with that in mind, I got these 2 books that have roses in there. And they each, like this one here on the front, see these 2? All I have to do is add a little vase there. And I can even kind of use the same cloche, make it a little narrower from the Liz Matthews chart. So they kind of match, but don't exactly match, you know? Then I got these 2 Peter Rabbit charts. I love Peter Rabbit and Beatrix Potter. One day I'm going to make a whole video about Beatrix Potter, which is, I love her that much. Then here is another stocking called Victorian Holly. This is West Stony Creek. Holiday Ornaments by Cross Stitch and Needlework. See the one at the top, the sheet music? It's Jingle Bells. That's the one I liked on here, the sheet music. And I have another chart I'm doing that's going to have some music on it, so I might use it for that as well. This is a Leisure Arts Christmas Gentleman. I really like that. The colors I just really like. This is Heart and Hand Holiday Trimmings. And these are older charts. This is from 96. I like that sheep. I like the mitten. Raspberry Patch Mama, second in the One Snowman's Family series. Another Raspberry Patch. I love this. A little bit of Christmas. I really like that. Strawberries and Cream. Bunch of different strawberry patterns in this. This is also for plastic canvas, but like I said, it's easy to convert it to cross stitch, I guess is what you say. And my grandsons love the superheroes. Their bedroom has Superman and Batman in it. So that was pretty perfect. What did I say about a prairie schooler chart? Can't pass it up. A prairie year. I might have this chart. I'm gonna have to look. I have that one. Might become a giveaway. Or whichever one looks better might become a giveaway. Holiday Homestead by the Prairie Schooler. And this was probably, I felt like the best find in the charts. And it's from the Cricket Collection, Sleepy Hollow. The Headless Horseman. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to do that. That's going to be fun. Okay, real quick with my whips. I have one of them sitting right here in front of me this whole time. This is called Wander With Me by Under the Garden Moon, and it's, I guess, distributed by Thread Milk. This I got at the retreat in the spring or maybe early summer. I'm almost done. Almost done. All I have to do is do the whisper for the buddy's tail and some straight stitches on the leaves and a few straight like sprigs of grass. And I'm done. It turned out pretty cute, I have to admit. I do like that one a lot. All right, and then remember when I was talking about my trip in Virginia and how I wanted to stitch a piece and stitch a little at each location? My pick was Teresa Kogut's Lincoln's Eagle. Now, I know Lincoln didn't have anything to do with any of the places I was going. I realized that. But I wanted something patriotic. And this is one of my favorite patriotic charts I hadn't stitched yet. Well, I saved all my week's things. I put them all my flosses on this. I thought I counted exactly. I was one hole short, so I just put one around the stem. But I had them all pretty and ready to stitch. The first night in the hotel room before I went anywhere, I stitched this much. And that's all I did. That's all I did. I was too tired the second night after walking 4 hours around Jamestown and 4 hours in the antique mall. I was beat. As a matter of fact, I didn't even go out to dinner that night. That night I just got some food and went back to the hotel room, and I got out stuff and tried to stitch, and I was like, I can't even see this. I'm so tired. My eyes were just, I was beat. And then when I went to Mount Vernon, I was kind of in a hurry to get out of there to go get to my sister's house. So I didn't stitch there. I didn't stitch any when I was at my sister's because we had too much going on. We were busy enjoying each other, and that was more important than stitching. So that's about all that I have stitched since my last video. I can't think of anything else that I have done. So I'm going to wrap it up now. I hope to get this room picked up a little bit and do a little bit of stitching tonight. Hopefully finish that other piece, that Wander With Me piece. Get it finished and decide how I'm going to finish it. I think I'm just going to do a flat finish. I might have a little frame for it. If I can find a little frame, that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, I'm at an hour and just hit an hour and 10 minutes. Y'all, I'm done. I'm done. I'm tired. I don't know I don't even know what time it is. I can't see a clock on my computer and my phone's not in here. But I'm ready to go get ready for bed and relax. So, um, happy stitching. I'll see you next time. Bye. Don't forget to give away. What's the word? I wrote it down. Thanks. Thankful. Thankful. If you if you want to win that chart. And to the other winners from the last video, if you haven't watched it, watch it and see if you're a winner. I think there was one person that has not replied to me. And I can't remember who it is, y'all. And I wasn't organized enough to pull that out before I made this today. So, but I am mailing those tomorrow to everyone else. When I came back from my trip, it was just a hectic week. So it's the best I can do. I'll see you next time. Bye.